Close your eyes for a second and imagine an era when Mercedes wasn't just building cars, but creating rolling masterpieces. In the late 60s, the 300 SEL 6.3 shocked the world by hiding sports car performance inside a luxury sedan. In the 80s, the 560 SEC became the ultimate symbol of wealth and power, a coupe that commanded respect everywhere it went. And in the 2000s, the S65 AMG arrived with a twin-turbo V12 so powerful it blurred the line between comfort and sheer madness. These three icons didn't just define their time. They proved why Mercedes-Benz is forever the standard of luxury and performance. Mercedes-Benz 300 SEL 6.3 W109 1968 to 1972. Mercedes-Benz has always been known for building cars that define luxury, comfort, and durability. But in the late 1960s, the brand did something completely unexpected. It created a car that not only carried the elegance of a limousine, but also the heart of a sports car. That car was the Mercedes-Benz 300 SEL 6.3, a machine that changed the definition of performance sedans forever. The story of the 300 SEL 6.3 begins with a bold idea. At the time, Mercedes had the luxurious W109 sedan, a big, elegant car built for executives, diplomats, and the wealthy elite. But deep inside the factory, engineers wondered, what would happen if they took the massive 6.3-liter V8 engine from the Mercedes 600 Grosser, the car of presidents and kings, and squeezed it into the W109 body? It sounded crazy, but they made it happen. The result was nothing short of revolutionary. On the outside, the 300 SEL 6.3 looked almost identical to any other Mercedes sedan of the era. It carried the same graceful lines, the same stately chrome grille, and the same understated presence. But under the hood lived a monster, a 6.3-liter M100 V8 engine producing around 250 horsepower and a massive 369 pound-feet of torque. In the late 1960s, these numbers were jaw-dropping, especially for a luxury sedan that weighed nearly 2 tons. What made the 300 SEL 6.3 so legendary wasn't just the engine, but the way it performed. This big limousine could sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just about 6.5 seconds, a time that put it on par with many sports cars of its era. Its top speed was well over 220 kilometers per hour, 137 miles per hour, making it one of the fastest four-door sedans in the world at that time. Imagine sitting in the back seat, enjoying air suspension, comfort, and wood-trimmed luxury, while the driver rockets down the Autobahn like a sports car. That's the magic of the 6.3. Inside the 300 SEL 6.3 was every bit of Mercedes. Rich leather seats, polished wood veneer, and thick carpeting reminded passengers they were in a car built for the wealthy. But hidden beneath that refinement was cutting-edge technology. The car came standard with air suspension, offering a smooth ride that could also stiffen up for better handling. Power windows, central locking, and even air conditioning were available at a time when many cars didn't even offer them as options. But here's what truly makes the 300 SEL 6.3 a legend. It essentially created the high-performance luxury sedan segment. Before this car, buyers had to choose between comfort and performance. You could either have a limousine that was smooth but slow, or a sports car that was fast but cramped. Mercedes proved you could have both in one package. The 6.3 was the father of all future AMG sedans, the DNA that would eventually lead to monsters like the E55 AMG and the S63 AMG. Despite its power and luxury, the 300 SEL 6.3 wasn't a mass-market car. It was expensive. In fact, it cost more than a Porsche 911 at the time. Only about 6,500 units were ever built between 1968 and 1972, making it a rare and highly collectible classic today. Enthusiasts and collectors around the world prize it not only for its performance, but also for its place in automotive history. Owning one now is like holding a piece of Mercedes-Benz's boldest experiment. It's not just about the numbers, it's about the experience. Turning the key, hearing the deep rumble of that V8, and then gliding down the road with effortless power. Few cars even today can match that feeling of refined brutality. Looking back, the 300 SEL 6.3 was a car ahead of its time. It was born from an idea that seemed almost impossible, yet it set a new standard for what a luxury sedan could be. Today, when we see modern AMG sedans with their twin-turbo V8s and luxurious interiors, we can trace their bloodline directly back to the 6.3. In the world of classic cars, some models are simply admired, while others become legends. The 300 SEL 6.3 is firmly in the second category. It was fast, it was luxurious, and it was unique. More importantly, it showed the world that Mercedes-Benz wasn't just about tradition, it was about pushing boundaries. And that's why, even more than 50 years later, the 300 SEL 6.3 is remembered as one of the most important cars Mercedes ever built. Mercedes-Benz 560 SEC C126, 1985 to 1991. When you think of the 1980s, images of excess, power, and style instantly come to mind. It was the decade of bold statements, big hair, sharp suits, and even sharper cars. And standing at the very top of Mercedes-Benz's lineup during that era was a coupe so powerful, so elegant, and so commanding that it quickly became the ultimate status symbol. That car was the Mercedes-Benz 560S EC C126. The 560S EC was introduced in 1985 as the flagship of the Mercedes S-Class coupe range. Built on the C126 platform, it wasn't just a two-door version of the sedan. It was something more special, more exclusive. This was the car for those who wanted the prestige and comfort of the S-Class, but in a sleeker, sportier package. A grand tourer that could cross continents at speed with absolute ease. At first glance, the design of the 560 SEC was understated yet commanding. It had long, sweeping lines, a wide stance, and that unmistakable Mercedes grille with the proud three-pointed star. The frameless doors, pillarless windows, and smooth roofline gave it a coupe silhouette that felt elegant but muscular at the same time. And when you opened those massive doors, you stepped into an interior that was pure Mercedes luxury. Fine leather, deep wood trim, and technology that most cars of the era couldn't even dream of. But make no mistake, the 560 SEC wasn't just about style. Under the hood was a 5.5-liter V8 engine, producing around 300 horsepower and 455 newton-meters of torque. That was serious performance in the late 1980s, especially for a car weighing nearly 2 tons. It could accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 7 seconds and reach a top speed of over 155 miles per hour, 250 kilometers per hour, when unrestricted. For a big luxury coupe, those numbers were incredible. What made the 560 SEC truly special, however, was how it delivered its power. The V8 engine wasn't screaming or aggressive. Instead, it produced a smooth, deep rumble, a sound that promised effortless power rather than raw violence. On the Autobahn, the 560 SEC could cruise comfortably at triple-digit speeds, with passengers barely noticing the velocity. It was a car that combined brute strength with refinement, the very definition of a gentleman's express. Inside, Mercedes spared no expense. The cabin was a sanctuary of comfort and sophistication. Supportive leather seats, advanced climate control, and even optional heated and memory functions gave it a sense of futuristic luxury. Safety was also a priority. The C126 was one of the first coupes to feature driver's airbags and ABS as standard equipment, showing Mercedes' commitment not just to performance, but also to protecting its drivers and passengers. The 560 SEC wasn't just admired by enthusiasts, it was embraced by celebrities, business tycoons, and world leaders. In the 1980s and early 1990s, owning a 560 SEC sent a clear message. You had arrived. From Hollywood stars to European aristocrats, this car became the must-have accessory for those living the high life. It was often parked outside five-star hotels, exclusive clubs, and luxury villas, turning heads wherever it went. But beyond the glamour, the 560 SEC has a deeper significance in Mercedes history. It represented the peak of an era when cars were engineered with little compromise. The C126 was built like a tank, with the durability and precision that made Mercedes legendary. Many examples are still on the road today, proof of the quality and craftsmanship that went into every single car. Over time, the 560 SEC has gained a cult following among collectors. Its blend of power, luxury, and exclusivity makes it one of the most desirable classic Mercedes models from the 1980s. Prices for well-preserved examples are climbing rapidly as enthusiasts and investors recognize its importance. And it's easy to see why. Few cars combine presence and performance in quite the same way. Looking back, the Mercedes-Benz 560 SEC wasn't just a car, it was a statement of success, of taste, and of confidence. It was a machine that embodied the spirit of its time, bold, ambitious, and powerful. And even today, more than 3 decades later, it remains one of the most iconic coupes ever built. Because in the end, the 560 SEC wasn't about being flashy or loud. It was about being commanding, elegant, and unshakably confident. It was the kind of car that didn't need to prove itself. It simply was. And that's why the Mercedes-Benz 560 SEC continues to be remembered not just as a great Mercedes, but as one of the true legends of the automotive world. Mercedes-Benz S65 AMG W221, 2006 to 2013. If you were to ask, what happens when ultimate luxury meets brutal performance? The answer would be simple. The Mercedes-Benz S65 AMG W221. Launched in 2006, this car wasn't just another luxury sedan. It was the king of the S-Class lineup, a machine that blended the elegance of a chauffeur-driven limousine with the ferocity of a supercar. In other words, the S65 AMG was the wolf, not in sheep's clothing, but in a perfectly tailored tuxedo. From the outside, the S65 AMG didn't shout for attention. There were no exaggerated spoilers or oversized wings. Instead, it carried itself with quiet confidence. Subtle AMG styling cues, deeper bumpers, quad exhausts, and 20-inch multi-spoke alloy wheels hinted at what lay beneath. For the untrained eye, it looked like a luxurious S-Class. But for those who knew, this was something far more dangerous. Its sheer presence was undeniable. Long, wide, and elegant, the W221 SE65 AMG exuded status. Park one outside a hotel or corporate tower, and people knew instantly. The person stepping out wasn't just wealthy, they were powerful. Under that long hood lived the heart of a monster, a 6.0-liter twin-turbocharged V12. The numbers were jaw-dropping even by today's standards. 612 horsepower and 1,000 newton meters, 737 pound-feet, of torque, electronically limited. That torque figure was so massive, Mercedes had to limit it electronically to keep the car drivable and to stop the gearbox from tearing itself apart. Even so, the S65 AMG could launch from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 4.2 seconds. Remember, this was a full-size luxury sedan weighing over 2 tons. On the Autobahn, it could storm past 200 miles per hour if de-restricted. This car was proof that Mercedes-AMG wasn't just building performance sedans. They were redefining physics. A limousine shouldn't be able to accelerate like a Ferrari, but the S65 AMG did it with ease. What made the S65 so addictive wasn't just the raw power, but the way it delivered it. The V12 didn't scream. It produced a deep, thunderous growl, like a lion that knows it doesn't need to roar to prove its dominance. Matched with AMG's advanced suspension and adaptive damping, the ride was both supple and controlled. One moment, it was a silky smooth executive cruiser. The next, with a press of the throttle, it transformed into a road-eating missile. The steering was precise, the brakes enormous, and despite its size, the 65 could dance on winding roads better than anyone expected. But its true playground was the open highway, where it effortlessly devoured miles at triple-digit speeds, keeping passengers cocooned in comfort. Step inside and you immediately knew why the S-Class was called the best car in the world. The cabin of the S65 AMG was a masterpiece of luxury. Hand-stitched leather, fine wood veneers, and every piece crafted with perfection. The AMG touches made it special. Exclusive leather patterns, V12 badges, and a speedometer that went all the way to 360 kilometers per hour. Rear passengers had reclining, massaging seats with entertainment screens. While the driver had everything from advanced command infotainment to one of the best sound systems money could buy at the time. This wasn't just a car, it was a rolling palace with the heart of a supercar. During its production run, the S65 AMG became the ultimate symbol of power and wealth. Politicians, CEOs, and celebrities all gravitated toward it. It was expensive, very expensive. In most markets, it cost nearly twice the price of a regular S-Class, and for good reason. Owning one wasn't just about having a car, it was about making a statement. If you pulled up in a Bentley or Rolls-Royce, people respected your wealth. But if you arrived in an S65 AMG, people respected your power. The W221 S65 AMG represents a moment in history when Mercedes-AMG went all out with their engineering. A massive twin-turbo V12, luxury beyond imagination, and performance figures that embarrass supercars of its time. Today, the automotive industry is shifting toward hybrid and electric performance. V12 engines are disappearing, replaced by smaller turbocharged units or electric motors. That makes the S65 AMG a rare breed, a last hurrah of uncompromised engineering. Collectors are now turning their eyes toward the S65. Well-maintained examples are beginning to climb in value, as enthusiasts realize just how special this car was. It wasn't just another AMG, it was the pinnacle of AMG engineering and Mercedes luxury combined. The Mercedes-Benz S65 AMG W221 was not just transportation. It was a statement, a weapon, and a masterpiece all rolled into one. It carried its passengers in supreme comfort, while also possessing the ability to destroy almost anything that dared challenge it on the road. It's easy to look back now and say, they don't make them like this anymore. Because the truth is, they don't. The S65 AMG wasn't about efficiency or being sensible. It was about excess, dominance, and ultimate engineering. And that's exactly why it remains a legend today. So when you hear the deep growl of a V12 in a Mercedes, remember, you're not just listening to an engine. You're hearing the heartbeat of a dying breed, a sound that defined an era of automotive greatness. And at the center of it all sits the king, the Mercedes-Benz S65 AMG.